In this video, I am going to be introducing word formation processes. But before then, we need to understand what is morphology. Okay, you have been hearing about morphology, you have been hearing about morpheme, types of morphemes, and the like. And probably you have been having some issues understanding this concept called morphology. Then this video, I have taken my time to break it down for you, and so that those complications and issues about morphology and word formation processes will be cleared. But then, like I said, this is just an introduction to word formation processes. There will be another video covering word formation processes in detail. This is just to usher us in, to give us basic things we need to know. So let's get started. When we talk about language, what do we have in mind? There are three things that language description or language definition can cover. One is the phonological level. Here, these with sounds, okay? These with sounds. The sounds of a given language. The second level is the level of sentence grammar or syntax. Here you're talking about the internal structure of sentence, looking at phrase marker or diagram tree, looking at sentence hierarchy. Of course, we know that sentence has others. Then the last one, which is the morphological level, we'll be looking at word formation processes. This is our focus in this particular video. So these are the three descriptions that a language covers. Now, what is morphology? Okay, so morphology is the study of the internal structure of word. Word has internal structure, and this is what morphologists study. Secondly, morphology looks at the rules of word formation processes. That is how to form new words, how to change a word from a noun to a verb, okay, and from a noun to adjective, those things. How to change words into classes, maybe from class adverb to class adjective. So these are what the rules, and these things are guided by rules, as we are going to see in this video and in the subsequent videos. Lastly, morphology is the scientific study of a language. It is language specific. Scientists make use of empirical observation to record their experiments. The same thing with morphologists. They observe a given language, for example, your language on my language, Igbo, or your own language, whatever language that you speak. Morphologists scientifically observe this particular language, not to tell you how your language should be, but how your language is. Understand this. Morphology sees all languages as equal. There is no superior language, there is no inferior language. And so, when morphologists study a language, they are not studying the language to tell you how you should speak it or how your language should be, but they are looking at it the way it is in its original form. And so they record empirically the observations as to be able to talk about that particular language. I hope this is understood very well. So let's move on. Morpheme. What is morpheme? Now, again, morphologists are also interested in morpheme, how morphemes behave. Morpheme is the smallest or minimal meaningful unit of a language. A morpheme can constitute a word or can be part of a larger word. It means that they can stand alone or they may not stand alone. For example, unimpressionable, as we can say on the screen, unimpressionable has 5 morphemes separated here with a slash. 5 morphemes. Each of these morphemes are grammatically meaningful, but they cannot stand alone. They cannot stand alone, and they cannot be further broken or analyzed without altering its meaning. Without altering its meaning. Now, let's see morphemes that can stand alone and morphemes that cannot stand alone. Here, we shall talk about free morphemes and bound morphemes. Free morphemes such as girl, boy, man, these are free. They can stand alone and make sense on their own. Under free morphemes, we have lexical morphemes and functional morphemes. Lexical morphemes, these are the word classes that we have in English, like noun, adverb, verbs, adjectives. So these are lexical morphemes. And lexical morphemes, they are open class morphemes. Open class means that they are open to changes. You can add words, you can add morphemes to them to drive another meaning or to change the word class. For example, boy, you can add the inflection of s and you have the plural boy, which is boys. You can also add the adjective suffix, which is I, S, H, and you have the adjective boyish. You have other example, gayish, and so many of them. So you can see that they are open class. You can add inflections and derivations, suffixes to them to have new meaning. The second category is the functional morphemes. Here, they are also considered as closed class or closed content because they do not behave like lexical morphemes. You cannot add inflections and derivation, suffixes and prefixes to them. Example such as pronouns, him, her, or have articles like a and the. Okay, so and other conjunctions, these are functional morphemes. These morphemes, they can stand alone, but they do not accept new changes. You cannot add s to him to become hims. No, you cannot. So you can see that they behave differently. Going to the second type of free morphemes is the bound morphemes. Now, bound morphemes, just as the name implies, bound, they are bounded to another morpheme to make meaning. They cannot stand alone. They cannot stand alone. Now, under bound morphemes, we'll be talking about derivational bound morphemes, you can call it as such, or inflectional bound morphemes. Let's talk about derivational bound morphemes. In talking about derivational bound morphemes, you talk about what? Suffixes and prefixes. Suffixes are those morphemes that come at the end of a word. We have suffixes in English language and other languages, but here we're using English as our study case. We have noun suffixes, we have adjective suffixes, we have adverb suffixes, we have adjective suffixes. These suffixes are called derivational morphemes. For example, the noun, the shone, and the meant, the ti and ism. These are suffixes attached at the end of a word. We have the prefixes. Prefixes come at the beginning of a word. Like have the pre, the an, maybe uncover, co-worker. You see, so these prefixes come at the beginning of words. They are under derivational morphemes. I hope this is understood. Let's look at inflectional morphemes. Inflectional morphemes, or you can also call it inflections. There are normally 8 inflections in English language. 8 of them. The first one is the s suffix of verbs, as in he sends, she writes. You can see the example on the screen. The second one is the ed suffix of verbs in past tense and past participle. For example, he opened, it was looked into. The ing suffix of verbs in the progressive form. For example, sending, looking. the en suffix of many irregular verbs in the past participle: eating, taking, and the rest of them. The s suffix of nouns in the plural: books, tables, chairs. The s suffix of nouns in the progressive form, in the possessive form. For example, John's books, the dog's tail, etc. The er suffix of the comparative of adjectives and adverbs: greater, faster, nearer. The est suffix of the superlative of adjectives and adverbs. For example, greatest, fastest, nearest. I hope that this is clear and you now understand how inflectional morphemes behave. One thing to note is that inflectional morphemes, they do not change the grammatical category of the word. They do not. They only show whether a word is plural or singular, past tense, present, progressive, superlative, or comparative. They do not change the grammatical function, as we saw in derivational morphemes, which can change a word from a noun to adverb. Inflectional morphemes do not change the word class of a word. I hope this is understood. Good. Lastly, we shall talk about affixations. Affixations. And what is affixations? Affixations are those attachments, those derivations that we include to a word class in order to derive new meaning. And when we talk about affixations, we are talking about three things: prefixes coming before a word, suffixes coming after a word, infixes coming in between a word. But we don't have infixes in English language. We don't have many of them. But we have so many prefixes, so many suffixes, as I have explained when I was talking about derivational morphemes. So you can go back and check that out. So thank you. I hope this is helpful for you. If you like this video, remember to subscribe, remember to like and give us a notification so that the next video I am going to produce on word formation processes, how to actually start forming new words on your own without anybody's help, you are going to be the first to receive it.
I'm falling, tell me why